What's up and welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Heckshot and today we're gonna piss off a lot of people, at least the Glock fanboys. We're gonna make you guys kind of angry. So if you're sensitive to this thing, you need to turn the video off now, but I think that you guys can handle it. Today we're going to talk about the best Glock alternatives. Really quick, I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on, but if you like what we do, a couple ways you can find us if we disappear tomorrow. Patreon is number one. Patreon, you guys get the videos. You're seeing this video now first. All Patreon members get the videos first, and all giveaways will be done on Patreon. That's a way for me to get back to you guys, because you guys are going to be the lifeline of what we do. I've never pushed Patreon really hard, but Patreon is going to be the lifeline coming very soon, I fear. Also, Daily Motion and our Facebook page. I'll link these things down below, but we're starting to upload over there. We're starting to actually gain a lot of people on Facebook and quite a few on Daily Motion. That's a really good site as well. Full 30, I know you guys have mentioned it. As soon as it becomes available, we'll be over there as well. But I just want you guys to know where you can find us in case we disappear. So, all of these guns you see are centered around the Glock 19 or the Glock 17. Any Glock could be here. This gun's been out for a long time. You're going to hear a lot of things. If you're coming in, you're trying to buy a firearm, you're trying to pick your first firearm, maybe you're trying to just get your first handgun, whatever the case may be, you're going to hear a lot about the Glock. For good reason. It's reliable, it's established, everything like that. Pretty much every gun on this table has taken something from this platform. But this, in this video, this gun right here, we're going to call this the G word. This is a bad word in this video. We're going to take this G word and we're going to toss it to the side. But now we want to focus on other guns. What are the best alternatives to the G platform? Okay? All right. The first thing you're going to hear about that G platform is you're going to hear, well, you might have a good gun, but none of them are as reliable as my Glock. I mean, I've put 150,000 rounds through my Glock without fail. You can't compete with that. All right. Well, just to break it down to you guys, I found several instances where the Glock platform did not do so well. Actually, in 2013, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office reported that the Glock firing pins were breaking and or cracking, and Glock, of course, did not respond to reporters on the issue, but they did go down, meet with the Sheriff's Office. They blamed it on ammunition. The problem is that armors actually looked at these guns and said, it looks like the metal on the firing pins is just too soft. All right, well, that's one example. 2016, and I will leave these links down for you guys so you can read them. 2016, Indianapolis Metro Police Department had issues with the Glock 19 M's where they were doing dry firing practice and the slide was falling off of the gun. So I'm not making it up. I'll leave the links down below so you can read this stuff. The point is that problems happen with the new Gen 4s. They had the recoil spring issues. The point is that every manufacturer has growing pains. This stuff happens. None of them are perfect, no matter what you like to believe. Glock's been around the longest. That doesn't mean that they haven't had issues, but most of these manufacturers fix these issues, so you really don't have a lot to worry about with modern firearms. Now, in the 80s and 90s, Glock, that's all I would have carried. I mean, because it was, even though they're kind of ugly, they were the best looking thing then, lightest thing then. So, you know, just to kind of clear that up, because you will hear that a lot. All right. With that being said, though, these guns still are not exempt, and just, you can't just approve these guns just because they pretty much take off of the G platform. They still have to be reliable. Same price or cheaper. You can't compare a $1,200, you know, Sig Legion to a Glock 19, a $550 gun. You just can't do that. They have to be a good shooter. You have to be able to maintain the guns easily like you can Glock. And you're going to get things and you're going to lose things as you go away from the platform. Now, I know you guys are looking at this like it's the elephant in the room. The Sig P320 got the Army contract. They started having drop firing issues where literally the guns would drop and then fire. Whoever made the rule where you can call this a drop safe pistol and not drop it where it's most likely to fire, which would be on the hammer or the striker, needs to look for another profession, because that would be the #1 area I would drop it on to be able to call it drop safe. They're fixing these issues though. I haven't had an issue with mine. Of course, I haven't really dropped it. Most people won't drop it. It's an issue. Send it back. They'll take care of you. These things happen. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. Okay? This one is not going away. It's still been a reliable gun, and they still are great guns regardless. Okay, let's go to the M&P. This is probably the #1 competitor to the Glock for good reason. Front and rear slide serrations. You actually have steel sights instead of the polymer sights on the Glock. You of course have a Picatinny rail. It comes with 2 magazines, 15-round magazines. They've done some things with the M2.0s, better trigger. The actual magazine release on these is, to me, a lot better than on the Glock. These actually hang up a little bit on the new M2.0s, but they're generally pretty good. The rough texture and grip that they've done on these are really great. Ambidextrous controls on your Gen 5s Glocks. You get ambidextrous controls, but you can reverse the magazine release on these. You have a lot of great features, and the best part is most of the time you can find this gun for around $400, maybe $425. So you're coming in about $100, $125 cheaper than the Glock 19. So this is a really good option, and if you're on a budget, all stainless steel parts. You have the Armor Night finish, which I feel like is holding up really, really well. This is a great gun. Way better trigger than the original one too. So that is definitely a good option. The Sig P320. This is a modular design gun. Okay, so you can switch frames. You know, this is just a plastic frame, but you can switch the frames. This one is the RX version, so it comes with the optic, it comes with the high night sights, but if you just go with a regular P320 and you don't want the optic and all that, that'll be just fine as well. Okay, most people, I feel, will probably go with that version. Was just something different for the channel that I wanted to review and show you guys. But again, a great magazine release. You have front and rear slide serrations. Really easy to manipulate this gun. It's got a great trigger on it. This is a good shooting gun. Every person that I've put this gun in their hands has been impressed with it. And I'm not just talking about experienced shooters. I'm talking about new shooters alike. A lot of people just love this platform and what it has to offer with the modularity. You can buy a full size for the range or home defense, but get a subcompact frame for carry. So you have multiple uses that you can get out of the one gun. And the frames, you know, they're not very expensive at all. What about the CZ P10C? This is our newest addition for the channel, and it has taken me a while to get this gun, but some of the great features on this one: awesome trigger. I mean, this thing has a beautiful trigger, kind of like the PPQ, which is one of the honorable mentions in this video, but the trigger on this thing is just amazing. Now, the trigger on a Glock is pretty much like all triggers on Glocks. They're just okay. They're not great. They're not fantastic. You can do a lot of things with them, but pretty much every gun on this table has a better stock trigger than a stock Glock. So just keep that in mind. Really good trigger on the CZ. Reset is short. This is a great shooter. Now, it also comes with the night sights from the factory. You might be thinking, well, that's way more than the Glock. Not at all. This one is actually $469. That's what I got it for anyways. You wherever you shop may be different, but I'm just saying that you can find these things under $500. Now, what's cool is that it is fully ambidextrous. So unlike the other two I just showed you, you have your slide stop, you have your magazine release on both sides all the time. You even have your little stippled or grip area there. So you have your thumb up here. It gives you a little bit something more to hold on to, depending on, you know, if you're a right or left-handed shooter. Same rail, 2 15-round magazines. One thing I didn't mention on the P320, most of the time on the regular versions, you can get these things for around $500. Depending on where you shop, it's still going to be under the initial cost of the Glock in most cases, okay? These come with 2 15-round magazines as well. So that gives you some great options. The CZ is our new darling, and we really like what CZ has put together here. Now, if you're even on more of a budget, if you need to save even more money, the Canik Tp9 Sf Elite. around 300 bucks, 350 bucks. This is a great offering. You have this nice tungsten finish here. This one actually has the fiber optic front sight and the blacked out rear sights, so your eye naturally gets drawn there. I'm not the biggest fan of these sights. You can watch our review on this gun, but it does come with those, which is pretty cool for a sub $400 gun. This one also comes with a lot of safety features where the other ones really don't. You have a striker indicator in the rear, so it lets you know whenever you pull the trigger. You have a loaded chamber indicator up top if that's something that you would like, which can come in handy sometimes. Also, fully ambidextrous controls. Kind of. You have your slide stop on both sides. The magazine release, you can reverse that as well. And this one has a beautiful trigger. Pull, break, reset. Right there. You have your rail up here, front and rear slide serrations. If you like to do press checks, that might work out for you. A great budget firearm all the way around. And it still gives you a lot of features that the Glock does. Reliability, I haven't seen many issues with any of these. They've all had a little quirkiness that they've had to work out, but that's not a huge deal. Now I have one that's not really in the category, but it has a big brother. And this big brother, to me, is one of the best options that you can go for a striker fire gun. The HK VP9. This one is the SK, which is subcompact, so it only comes with 10 round mags. The big brother comes with 15 round mags, and you can generally find these things now for the mid 500 range. Okay, when they first came out, they were pretty expensive. I guess HK realized, hey, we need to drop the price. They came out with new models even, so the prices have steadily dropped on them to a more reasonable amount. But this one is cool. If you do a lot of shooting outdoors, you'll appreciate those luminescent sights right there. They pick up really great during the daytime. They don't do you any good at night whatsoever. But you can get these options with night sights. You're just going to pay about $100 more for them. This one also comes with a pretty cool feature. If you have weaker dexterity in your hands, you have these little charging ears, all right? And that helps you grip the slide so your fingers don't just slip off of it. Front and rear slide serrations, Picatinny rail. It's going to be a little bit different because you have your magazine release in the trigger guard right there. It's that German style paddle magazine release. But if you can get used to that, this is actually a great gun to carry. It's actually the one I carry most of the time now because it's light. It gives you a good round count. Ambidextrous controls all the way around. Okay, slide stop looks a little bit different, but it is ambidextrous all the way around. And you have the side panels. So if you have maybe chunkier palms and smaller hands, you can adjust the side panels where you normally can't do that on pretty much any other handgun. So that is a cool feature right there. Of course, its big brother is more comparable to the bad G word. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is there are a lot of good options out there. If somebody comes along to you and they say, oh, you want to buy your first handgun? If you buy anything other than Glock, then you're just wasting your time. I'd probably walk away from them and tell them that you're not very smart. I mean, there's a lot of great options that you can choose from. Some of them have their quirks, and that's just the way it is. But you're going to lose and gain as you get away from the Glock platform. But if you don't like something about the Glock, I purposely did not go with a Glock for my first gun because that's all I heard people talk about. And I wanted to try other things. I mean, it took a good, I think, almost 2 years before I even got into Glocks. I appreciate them for what there are, but there are to me, much better options out there. Glock is great. Everybody should probably have one, but I think there are better options in the handgun field. Now, there are a couple of honorable mentions I want to throw out there to you guys really quick. The Walther PPQ, excellent gun. Probably the best striker fire trigger on the market, bar none. Also, you have the Springfield line of guns, specifically the XDM, which to me is my personal favorite. But the Springfield makes a good pistol. So you have a lot of options out there. And to me, a lot of these options actually offer you more at a cheaper price. To me, I feel like Glock has just kind of ridden the Glock train, the Glock name, for a long time, and just added a little bit here and there to keep you coming back. Kind of like what Apple does in a way. I mean, hate to say it, but that's just how I feel. Now, if I left anything off of this table, that I shouldn't have, make sure you leave me a comment down below. If there's a better Glock alternative and I did not mention it or show it on this table, I want to hear about it. Also, if you disagree, there will be a lot of you, but that's okay. Make sure you leave us a comment. Thank you guys for the support. We will see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.